Welcome, welcome. Thank you guys for tuning in. It is time. It's 1 p.m. and it is time for another episode of Ask James. Today is April the 24th. I'm glad to see you guys. Before we get started into our letters, I want to give some special thank yous out to Jay Wilson and Sly Sylvia Williams. Last week during the premiere of the episode, the two of them actually gave super chats, so I wanted to take some time to say thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. So, without any further ado, this is Ask James. I am James Colwell. For those of you who don't know, it's me. It's my show. Anyway, I'm acting silly. All right, you guys, let's go into this. First letter has no title. It reads as follows. I listen to your Ask Me all the time, and I really need your help. I am married, not to the best in the world, but I do know he loves me. We have had many hard times. I have been through the drugs thing with him more than once, but he is working, bringing his part of the bills faithful, and giving me money every week. We live with my son and two granddaughters. They're 17 and 18. My son has always been there for me. He is a great son, no doubt. My only problem with our living arrangement is the granddaughters. Okay. They are so lazy. I could be cleaning and they just sit and watch. When I say something to them or about them, my son will say I am complaining. They don't wash dishes, cook, clean. I work too. I am just tired of coming into a dirty house. They do not pay any bills. Am I wrong for thinking of just moving and getting my own place? My son is disabled, but not to the point he can't take care of himself. He can do anything I can do, and more. I am 63 years old and tired. Please help. I respect your advice, one of your faithful viewers. Okay, so these are the times when this whole thing, this whole Ask James thing becomes a little bit difficult because it puts me in a peculiar predicament. Because I have to be honest. I have to be honest. And my honesty, you know, is blunt. So I'm going to be that. I'm going to be that because that's what I do. And I hope you don't get angry because you've been around for a while. But I'm going to have to tell you, you're not wrong for considering moving. You're not wrong at all for considering moving. Actually, you are actually correct. You're actually correct in the considering moving. And I'm going to tell you why. See, because I've said this before. Grown people, they need their own place. Grown people need their own place. You can't, it used to happen back in the day where people, you know, I grew up in a family that actually kind of lived that way to a certain point. Like my grandmother and her mother actually occupied the same space. I have a lot of older cousins and stuff, whereas sisters, their families occupy the same space. That used to happen in our community, in the black community, you know, back in the day. But as my time on this earth, it's just not a good setup. It's just not a good setup. It really isn't. I just think all grown people need their own space. One family is enough for a space because of these very things. You know, it may look good on the outside. It look good on the surface. It helps with bills and stuff like that. But overall, it's a bunch of confusion. It's a bunch of confusion. And I'm sure this probably worked out really well when the kids were small. The kids aren't small right now. Right now, 17 and 18, those two girls are getting to the point where they're grown women. And they need to be actually working on getting out of the house. So now at this point, you got darn near 3 grown women. And you're their grandmother trying to tell them what to do when you're actually squatting at their place. You know what I mean? Everything just gets all kind of screwed up. I am not a fan. I'm not a fan. And then I'm looking here, and from what you're saying, I don't know why you're living there anyway. You got a whole husband. So y'all have like a whole, You need to get on out of there. You need to get on out of there. You and your husband and whatever y'all got going on, y'all need to get out of your son's house and go ahead and do what it is you do. Because really and truly, if he is okay with the daughters not doing anything, really, who are you to say anything? And that's when it starts getting kind of sticky, because now I'm his mother. I can say, yeah, you're his mother, but you're not playing the mother role. At this point, you're kind of playing the child role. You're living in his house. You don't get to come in here and run the domain because the domain is not yours. You know, and that, it just causes confusion. Now, I'm going to tell you, I actually, my mom stayed with me for several years. My mother stayed with me. And it was my choice. It was my choice. I didn't like where she was staying, and she came with me and my kids until she could go ahead and get into the place that, you know, we were waiting on a specific place to come available. And everything was fine. My mom stayed with me for a while. It was fine. But there were things that took place that did shake the foundation. Because whenever my mom came in, me and my mom never had like any squabbles, because again, I'm always the child underneath my mother. And it's that thing. It's you know, when my mother came into the house, it literally shifted everything. And it was my mother, whatever my mother said, and that was it. Everybody fell in line. But I'm gonna tell you, and I'm being honest, it caused problems between me and my children, because there were certain times when I had to snap out in this mother where it was like, I am not you two's sibling. She is here with us visiting. Please don't get confused. I am the grease that makes the car move. Don't get confused. And they would, you know, because it was that whatever my mother said overrode everything I said. And baby, it didn't play out real well for them a few times. You know what I mean? And I've had to tell my mother, okay, back up. Back up, you're doing too much. You know? And that's just, that's why I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan. Now, saying that, I would take my mother back to live with me any day that she wanted to, because that's just the way me and my mother are. But I prefer her up at her place and me down at my place. Grown people need their own place, because everybody can't run the place. And this, as I was just reading, I can't see that at all. You and your husband, that's 2 whole different families. And then, yeah, too much. And it makes people intertwine and intermingle in other people's business. And when you're raising children, you need to be free to raise your children how you want to raise your children and make whatever decisions you want. And you don't need anybody in there trying to override what you're saying. Yeah, So I hope you don't get upset with this, but if you do, all I can do is just say, all right. You know what I mean? But no, in my opinion, you are already past your time. You need to get out and take your husband with you. Y'all need to get out their house. Get out their house. Let them live in there. If you think it's dirty, let them live in their dirty house on their own. Go get you a spot and you can come visit. And when the dirt get too much for you, and when the little girls ain't moving the way you want them to move, you can get on up and go back to your place that's clean, the way that you want it clean. So, yeah, in this one, I can't side with you, baby. You need to start packing. You need to start packing. You need to move like yesterday. So, that's my advice. Thank you so much for writing in. Alrighty, take care, baby. Okay, our next letter, actually, it doesn't have a title. It just says, "Hey, James," which is cool. And it reads as follows. "Hey, James, I've been a subscriber of yours for longer than a little bit, and I find your advice videos hilarious and helpful, so I thought I'd give it a swing. My husband of 3 years and I have simmered down in the bedroom. When we met 8 years ago, I was a borderline nymphomaniac." All right now, come on now. "And I've pretty much stayed that way. I mean, you name it. I either have tried it or want to try it. Initially, he would give in to my sexual desires, but as of lately, he doesn't want to have sex. If it was up to him, we'd have sex once a month. If it was up to me, it would be a couple times a week. It's not like he's ever tired from work or we never have time, he just doesn't want to. Also, we're only in our early 30s. Please help me out, James. I want more ding-a-ling in my life." Oh, jeez. Yes, you have been watching for a while, because only one of my people would just say that to me. You are definitely Shay Treasure. Hey, baby. You want more ding-a-ling in your life. Okay, so, alright, so you've been watching me, and I'm not laughing at you. You know how we get down. You've been watching. You're silly. You're real silly. But, okay, so here we go. Alright, so you've been watching me, so you know I'm celibate. And have been for a very long time. So it's funny that you even brought this question to me. Okay? But, all right, it's okay. So I guess I'm going to have to let you get in my business a little bit here. All right. So, all right, you're asking the person that ain't giving out no ding-a-ling. Come on, you get some more ding-a-ling. And I got something for you. Okay. So, listen. All right. Now, I don't partaketh in the ding nor the ling, okay? But whenever I was actually out there and doing my thing, this was never a problem. I never had a problem with this. I've never actually run into, you know, having a mate that doesn't want to, okay? So, I feel you. This would be problematic. Because when you want to do it, you want to do it. And it's kind of, like I can't even imagine laying up next to this man each night and ain't nothing going down. Because it would cause me to have like all kind of like things going on upstairs. Like, what the hell is going on? But there's some other questions that I actually have, like, what's actually going on in the 3 years? You know what I mean? What's going on? Has there been any medical issues? Because you didn't mention that. Has there been any, like, weight gain? I know sometimes when things cool off with couples, sometimes if there's like weight gain on either side, the male, female, or even if it's, you know, same sex, if there's weight gain, sometimes that will play a role in your sex life changing, because a lot of times when people gain weight, either person may become a little uncomfortable and they're not as comfortable anymore, and that will change you know, the sex game altogether. Because, you know, when you, sex is, that's why I don't do it, because sex, it's very, very involved. It's very involved. And if you're not 100% comfortable with yourself, it can really make you not want to do it. So I know a lot of times when people, you know, there's people it doesn't bother at all, but sometimes when people gain weight and stuff, they become not so satisfied with themselves, or they become a little insecure, if you will. And that will make them kind of want to shy away. But definitely, you all are young. You're young, baby. He should be pounding you to death, honey. Y'all need to have some conversation. Some real live conversation. Not laughing it off, like really serious. And even if you need to go to counseling, go to counseling. Find out what's going on. You know what I mean? If it's a weight gain thing, child, that's workable. That's doable. Come on here. Get on that. Let's go walking. Let's go walking. And when we get done walking, we're going to put some feet in the air. You know what I mean? It's just, those things can be worked on. But some conversation needs to go down, like quickly. Because if you're feeling like this and you picked up a pen and you done wrote me about it, it's becoming an issue. And you don't want to get into a position where people aren't getting it. You know what happens. People aren't getting it and you are very sexual. It makes you want to just stray away, and that will ruin your marriage. So you need to get on top of this. No pun intended. You need to get on top of this immediately and find out what the problem is. What's the problem? You know, and then I pulled from the letter where you said that he used to give into your little freaky ways, honey. Maybe that's a problem. You know? And then that's a deeper issue, because how you start is how you finish. How you start is how you finish. If you got a woman that's a freak, please don't sit around, or a man, don't sit around and believe that at some point their freak number is going to go down. No, as you get older, your freak number generally goes up. You know, with like, especially if you're an adventurous sex person, as you get older, you become more comfortable with your being, and you usually open up to new things. You usually have learned some things, and you're more open to things that you weren't open to earlier on in life. So you need to find that. Yeah, y'all need to have some conversation. Some conversation needs to be had, and figure out what's going on, and then start working on it. But you need to sit them down and have a true conversation. Tell them, listen, something's going on, honey. This is not working. And then you're in your early 30s. Girl, please, ain't no way he shouldn't be wanting to play with your little man in the boat, honey. Not at all. You got to figure out what's going on. Figure out what's going on and do it immediately. Immediately. Before somebody's eyes, either way, starts to stray. Something's going on though. Y'all are too young to not be all over each other. And that marriage is still 3 years, child? 3 years? And it only been, what, you met him 8 years ago. It ain't even been 10 whole years, child. Y'all should still be clawing at each other. So, yeah. But anyway, yeah. Conversation. Conversation. Yes. Start with this. Use it for talking. And then after that, you probably be able to use it for something else once you get the right conversation going. Okay? All right, you guys. Lord, y'all took me all the way out of my comfort zone. Anyway, enough with the sex talk. Let's move on. Thank you for writing in, babe. Oh my goodness. We'll see you later. Okay, next letter. Here we go. No, there's no title. Just starts in. Okay. Several months ago, I met a gentleman online at the suggestion of my mother. Needless to say, we hit it off well. Though I had met this guy that I thought was pretty decent, I was still dating other guys as well. Well, this didn't go over well with him, and he began to request more and more of my time, day and night. Now, mind you, we lived an hour away from one another, and I was still working a full-time job and was a single mother, and he didn't have any children but did work. Anyway, to make a long story short, every waking moment he wanted me to call or text him and say something. And when I didn't, it was a problem. When I brought this to his attention that I wasn't really a phone person and was not one for texting and calling people all day, he assumed that I didn't like him or something. Well, to make matters worse, and this is what took me over the top, he called me one day while I was at work, and I didn't answer. When I got a moment on my lunch break, I returned the call, but was eating my food at the same time, and he told me I was rude, and I should have called him when I'm finished with lunch. Now, I only get 30 minutes for lunch, and once I was done, would have to head straight back to work. Anyway, when I got off work, first thing I did was call him, and I got no response. About 20 minutes later, he called me back, and when I asked what was he doing, he said, taking a shit. To which I replied, then call me back when you're done. I'm headed home. When I tell you he got so upset and started yelling about why can't you talk to me now? What kind of woman are you? And what's wrong with talking to me? You can't smell it through the phone. And after that, I was absolutely done with the whole thing. I told him to get his nasty ass off my phone and call me later, and hung up in his face. It took him 3 days to call me back, only to bring up the same shit. You ain't have to put these parentheses around this shit. Again. And I was all... See, that threw me off. Like, and I was so damn confused as to what had him so upset that I just told him to lose my fucking number and called him weird. Okay. Please tell me, did I miss something, or did I overreact, or what? And it's signed, your confused niece. Okay. Woo, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Okay. Okay, first of all, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And you were really overly nice. Because y'all weren't compatible, flat out. You two were literally not compatible. That's really all there's to it. He's a phone person, you're not. Okay? That was the first ding, 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 ding. He's clingy. And you're obviously not a clingy woman. So a clingy man will drive a woman that's not clingy crazy the same way, yeah. Same way it is the other way around. That don't work. If you need two clingy people together, because it just becomes too much, and it did. It was a short period of time. I'm glad that everything happened now like it did, and then he showed another part of himself. He got an attitude problem. Because somebody that you're trying to date, talking to them like that, being all rude and curt with somebody that you're trying to impress, because when you're dating, you're trying to impress. So all this yelling and cussing and carrying on, that stuff don't even take place until way down the road somewhere. You meet no man and y'all just talking with each other for a few months, and the next thing you know, he cussing you out and carrying on. I don't think so. I don't even think so. Not at all. Not at all. You better wait until after the wedding day to start cussing and carrying on. But, yeah, no, you dodged the bullet. Y'all weren't made to be together. And even with his whole, you saw he was trying to monopolize your time. Y'all weren't on the same page. He was sitting around and wasn't dating, and now you know why. Okay? Because he got an issue. He got an issue. He got some little, yeah, I can see him be a person that later on down the road you'll find he got all kind of anger issues, and he might be a good ass whooper too. So yeah, you literally, you dodged the bullet, sweetheart. Ain't no big deal, and we ain't got to go no further with this, boo. You dodged the bullet, literally. All right, thank you for writing in. Yeah, and then 3 days. 3 days, and he was mad at you, and he took 3 days to call you back. Joe, please. Not no man that's chasing me, honey. 3 days. That's my game. That is your game. You don't do that to me, pal. Okay. Anyway, screw him. Move on. You dodged the bullet, babe. Ain't no thing. Thank you for writing that, babe. You a damn fool. Talk to you later. Okay, you guys, let's go to the next letter here. This one is actually entitled, Two Broken-Hearted Sisters, One Deadbeat Dad. This sounds like this is going to be interesting. Okay. Hey, James. Coming to you as a fan who respects your train of thought and delivery in search of your assistance. Honey, me and my younger sister are having a delicate situation regarding our biological father. Both of us are approaching birthdays where I will be 37, my sister is turning 34. Have not been in his physical presence since I was 15. She hasn't seen him since she was 10. We have him in common, different mothers. To compact what's needed to be known, our dad was a careless player in the 70s who bagged so many chicks. He had 9 kids by the tail end of the 80s. Wow. Okay. He has 9, only claims 5. He thought he was smart by picking women with different characteristics and lifestyles, yet never considering a little thing called radius. He wasn't that slick because my eldest sister's mother knew my mother from school and church, despite one being a choir girl and the other being a student aid paper grader. As the years went by, each of our mothers learned of each baby by crazy circumstances, and instead of beefing, formed an alliance for the sake of all of us knowing each other. My mother, that was smart. That was smart of them, and very mature. My mother learned of each kid after marrying my dad for a brief moment and finding a new social security number on her tax papers every time she turned around. He always tells people he raised us, but was only with my mom from my being age 3 to 7. They tried once more from age 10 to 13. We've tried over the years to get to know him, but it's starting to seem we know enough due to the ways he always denies his treatment toward our mothers and the way he decided to stay in contact with us. It's blistering because he's very dishonest and slanderous. I hold every woman who's borne my siblings with the utmost respect and hate hearing him justify his actions with acidic lies. He's lucky, after all, he's done that any of us even speak to him, let alone share life events. I used to wonder why my brother, who is 3 weeks and 3 days my junior, wouldn't want his son around our dad or invite him to his up-and-coming wedding. Just last night, I got a call from him stating that my sister just learned she is expecting. I had just told him prior to that I needed to get the doctor to confirm the same situation for me. What offended me was his approach and comment regarding me and my sister becoming pregnant. He said, "Well, y'all don't waste no time, do you?" He then tried to shame us by saying only married people should have sex and that we committed a sin against God and all that's left is to raise the child. Seriously? Okay, hold on. His sorry ass haven't ever even seen his grandchildren. He has now, and his eldest grandbaby is 13. Sat up and raised all kind of hell more than half of his 60-something years, but became a minister 12 years ago and thinking that makes it okay. You sure you want me to comment on this? Are you sure that you want me to comment on this? Lord have mercy. Okay. Okay. Please help me out, because I'm actually past in the red about being done with him after trying for years to be merciful and mature with him. But I and my sister aren't hoes like our father was. We didn't become pregnant cocking our legs open for every person in town. I've been with my dude 3 years and she's been with hers the same amount of time. Neither of us have seen our dad in eons. He did absolutely nothing but disrespect every woman in his life, and now he's doing it to his own daughters. My sister Ben cussed him out, and I'm a second away from doing it. The same, and I'm a second away from doing the same because I've treated him with kid gloves way too long. What should I do? I used to want to know him better, but now I'm starting to feel I know enough and may just have to cut him off. Again, I respect your train of thought. Please tell me what you think. You know what? The more you went down through this, I was like, he's a damn mess. He was a mess. He was a mess, you know, as a young man. But now, as an older man, he's an absolute mess. He's an absolute mess. And then had the nerve to take his ass up into the church and try to hide behind the Bible with his bullshit. Because that's what he's doing. And you know what? You got to do what's in your heart. All I can tell you is what I would be doing. I wouldn't be fooling with him at all. I wouldn't be fooling with him at all. Because at this point, you're not playing a father role. And then to sit around and try to throw that little thing out there about, you know, the marriage and all of that. Are you kidding, Mr. 9 Kids? And don't claim 4 of them? See, we couldn't have no civil conversations. Because I would be cussing the preacher's ass out on a regular. I would be letting him have it. And I know all of when you go to the church and you surrender and all of that, that you, or everything that you did prior is supposed to go into the sea of forgetfulness. Child. Yeah, okay. But you also are not supposed to be standing in judgment, Mr. Preacher Man. You standing in judgment of your own damn kids? Really? Really? Child, please. Listen, like I said, that's your father. He's your biological father. He's your blood. You have to do what it is that you think that you need to do. Your heart will tell you what to do. James Colwell wouldn't deal. Not at all. My father didn't even go this deep, and I cut my father off. I cut his ass off. I didn't worry nothing about it. It was what it was. I ain't messed with my father since I was, about 12? I was about 12 years old. And at that point, I'd made the decision that I didn't want to be bothered any longer. And I didn't. I didn't be bothered any longer and found out one day in passing that he had passed. And I said, well, okay, no problem. And the funny part about it how deep it actually goes, I was literally in the process of writing my book, Boys Like Me. And I had rapped on the book, and I had not written about my father at all in the book. Hadn't written about him at all. I actually reopened the manuscript and wrote about him after I found out that he had died. One of my uncle had actually said to me one day, I was passing, and he said, "Did you know your father passed?" And I said, "No, I did not." And when he did that, I ended up opening the book back up, and then I wrote that part in the book about my experience with my father. But other than that, I didn't even, and it felt so natural to me that I hadn't even written, it didn't bother me at all. If I had never had that conversation with my uncle, I would have published that book and literally have not written one absolute thing about my biological father. At all. Nothing. I wouldn't have written anything about him. But then once he was dead, it was like, oh, well, I guess I should add that in there. And I went ahead and added that in there. And then I rapped on the book. But when I was done, I was done. I was done. And, you know, him dying didn't change nothing about the way I feel. Now, I always say, that's one of my issues. I pray about it. I know it's not the best, it's not the best attribute to have, that you could cut people off like that, but that's part of who I am. So, like I said, baby, I'm not going to tell you to be like that, because that wouldn't be responsible of me to tell you to cut your father off. It wouldn't be responsible of me at all, But that's what I did. So I'm just sharing what my experience is. That's what I did. I wouldn't, no. You're dead, please. Not at all. But you got to do what your heart tells you to do, because you're going to be the one that has to live with it. But yeah, your dad is a whole hot ass mess. A whole hot ass mess. And whatever that church is, honey, I wouldn't even park my car on the street that he is pastor in the church. Sorry about it, honey. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I can't mess with your dad, honey. Your dad is officially pastor can't get right, honey. I ain't, no. But again, let your heart lead you, because whatever decision you make, you are definitely going to have to live with that decision. So that is my advice. I'm leaving this alone because I don't want to go no further and get totally disrespectful. So I'm just going to leave this alone. Thank you so much for writing in, baby. I wish you the best, you and your sister. And definitely pray that your pregnancies go very smoothly and you have healthy babies. All right? Thank you so much for writing in, babe. Whew, my goodness. This was a rough one today, you guys, but yeah, that's it. We're going to wrap here because I'm about tapped out. We're going to wrap here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Ask James. If you have a letter that you want to actually send me, or an email, you can actually send me your email to spillitboy@gmail.com. Just title it Hey James in the title, so it will stick out and I will get it. And if you want to write something, you can actually send it to my P.O. Box, which is James Colwell. It's P.O. Box 99432. That's Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Zip code is 15233. All right, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you right back here next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Thank you guys for watching. Later.